Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. My name is Diana Mayfield, and I'm the head of content here at Design Files. Today, we're going to talk about how you can proactively boost referrals through incredible client experiences. Kate Bendewald from Designers Oasis is going to walk us through all of her favorite strategies. Kate is an interior designer and business mentor who has helped over 200 designers build profitable businesses. Welcome, Kate.
Hi, Diana. Thank you for having me today. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. So before we went live, you were telling me that, you've been having a busy year, but you're kind of slowing down for summer. Do you have any trips planned, staycation? What are you going to get up to?
Yeah, we've got all of that planned. We've got some family trips, some staycations, and
Nice.
going to Seattle this summer, which I'm excited about.
Oh, that'll be interesting. So yeah, I feel like that's not like a typical summer destination.
Yeah, I know, but I have a friend that has a houseboat there, so we're going to go try it out
Oh,
for the first time.
whoa. There you go. That's making a lot of sense.
Yeah,
That
we want
sounds
to be on a houseboat in the summer.
Yeah. Who doesn't like a houseboat? Awesome. Well, I see we've got some people joining us live. Thank you guys for being here. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. Kate is going to jump into her slides. Please feel free to pop in questions as they come. That way, when we get to Q&A at the end, I've already got some questions to pull from. So if anything comes up, just pop it in chat and I'll hop off and I'll come back for Q&A.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Diana, I know you can still hear, but if I have a question or if I want to take questions midway through, can I just say if you'll have questions about this specific topic and they put it in the chat, can you read those to me? Does it work best to save them to the end?
I can, if you wanted to do some questions in the middle, I can just kind of hang out and then if you wanted, I can just pull if there's anything specific. So I'll just hang out here and I'll be quiet as a mouse.
Whatever you prefer. Okay. And we can just see how it goes. And I sometimes like to ask midway while we're on the subject so that I can remember what I just talked about.
I love it.
How it goes.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I'll just pop back on.
All right. Can everybody see the screen? Are we good to go there?
Yeah, you are good to go. Yes, you can definitely.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much. Thank you guys for having me. Thanks for being here today. I'm thrilled to talk about this subject. It's something I feel I get really excited about. I spent many, many, many years working in the service industry and high-end service industry. And so I've been able to sort of bring that experience to my career in interior design. And so this is really the first time I've talked about this subject at this length. So I'm excited to get into it. But most of all, I want you guys to really feel excited at the idea that you have the power to start to generate more referrals and more repeat clients simply by elevating what you're already doing. Okay, so let's get started. Here's what we're going to cover today. First, why does any of this matter? Why should you care about your client experience? We're going to talk about 5 ways that you can create an unforgettable client experience. And at the end, I'm going to talk about some tips for how you can implement your signature client experience. All right, so for those of you who haven't met me before, my name is Kate Bendewald. I am an interior designer turned business mentor. You can find me each week hosting the Designers Oasis podcast. I'm also the founder of Designers Oasis, which is an online business hub and resource center for interior designers. Prior to dedicating myself full-time to Designers Oasis, I was able to scale 2 6-figure businesses in 2 different states, which were primarily fueled by repeat clients and referrals. So I do know a little something about what we're talking about today. I'm also the creator of the Interior Designers Business Blueprint, which is a complete system designed to help designers level up their interior design business. So if you want to learn more about that, you can check out that link listed there. And I'm now living in Denver with my family and my 2 dogs and our hamster named Stuart, who is overweight. We have an overweight hamster. If you like surprises, please stick around till the end because I have a special little free gift that I would love to share with the folks who have joined us today. What we're talking about today can be best summarized by these words from Maya Angelou, which say, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So as we're talking about these 5 ways that you can elevate your client experience, I want you to always be thinking about, and today moving forward with all of your clients, I want you to be thinking about how can you help them feel more clarity, more confidence, more excitement in the project? How can you help them feel really good with every interaction that they have with you? Okay, so I want you guys to answer this question. And Diana, if you are able to tell me what people say in the chat,
Yeah.
great.
Yes.
But I want you to, how would you answer this question? If you worked at Disney and somebody came up to you and said, hey, what time is the 3 o'clock parade? How would you respond? And I'll just take a minute and let you guys put your thoughts in the chat, please.
Oh, are you giving us a brain twister today? Okay, what time is the 3 o'clock parade? Let's see. How would you guys respond to that? We're not getting a specific response yet. I think we're
Probably because you think I'm trying to loop you into a specific answer.
Yeah.
Most people, myself included, might simply respond by saying, 3 o'clock, you dummy, right? That's our instant reaction to when we hear a question like that. This is the number one question that park staff get who work at the Disney theme parks is, what time is the 3 o'clock parade? Instead of a blunt response, staff are trained that this is an opportunity to exceed guest expectations. It can help them to feel special by further personalizing their experience. They can help guests understand things like, where does the parade start? Where does it stop? Where's the best place to view the parade? Where does the parade pass by? Every business has a 3 o'clock parade question. As designers who want to be known for creativity and innovation, your creativity and innovation shouldn't stop with your design work. It should be baked into the culture of your business, of your company, how you engage with your clients, with your vendors, and with your trades. There needs to be incredible emphasis on customer service and attention to detail because that's what your clients are looking for.
Yeah. Before we move on, I do have to pull a couple of the responses. We got, one of them was at 3 p.m. Let's go, right? Like it's like, let's go, let's have fun, let's do this together, right? That could totally work into how you speak with clients. And another one is, it's at 3, but it's always a good idea to get there at about 2:30 to get a great spot, right? So being a little proactive, giving a special tip. So
that person definitely gets it. You understand that there's underlying questions behind the actual question, and that's what you really want to focus on and what you want to pay attention to. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yes.
Okay, so why should you care about your client experience? Number one, it's memorable. If you want people to talk about you, you need to give them something to talk about. It's affirming. The biggest mistake you can make is to assume that once a client becomes your client, that the selling is done. Clients need consistent reassurance that they've made the right decision to work with you. Okay, I'm going to say that again because it's really important. Clients need consistent reassurance that they've made the right decision to work with you. And it's magnetic. The second biggest mistake you can make is to assume that once you've worked with your client, that your work with them is over, right? Well, we finished their house, we're done, right? Right now, I'm working with a client who I've been working with for 8 years, right? When we started working together, their son was 10. He's in college now. So sometimes clients want to phase in work over time. Maybe they can't do it all at the same time. People move, people buy second homes. Remember this. If you don't take away anything else today, remember this. It is easier to sign an old client than it is a new one, especially when you give them a great experience. Okay? When you make it fun, when you make it easy, when you make it rewarding to work with you, your clients will come back for more every time. All right, so what are the 5 ways that you can start to create an unforgettable client experience, the kind that is going to bring you more repeat clients and referral clients? All right, number 1 is date your clients. Have you ever started a project, you've been at the very beginning of a project and you thought, I don't know where to start with this project, right? If you want to tap into a deep well of inspiration on your next project, I want you to date your client. Get to know them. Why? Clients want personalized design, something that reflects their life, who they are, who they want to be. And you can't get to that kind of deep knowledge in an online questionnaire. You must create an opportunity to get to know your clients even better, even deeper. And the best way to do that is through a meaningful conversation. So here at Kate Bendewald Interior Design, every project kicks off with a deep dive chat. It's a 45 to 60-minute conversation where we are asking them questions to get them talking about their lives. Questions that both look to the past and to the future. And we do this is the very first step in every project. So as soon as we've received their payment and their payment and their contract, then we get started. And this is the very first thing that we do. We do the deep dive date, usually followed by a site survey. I want you to get very curious about your clients. Here are some example questions that you can ask them. There's a couple of things that I want you to remember when you're doing this deep dive interview. First, when you're asking these questions and when you're having these conversations, it may not be immediately clear if and how the things that you uncover are going to make their way into the design. And that's okay. You're not there trying to seek out this aha moment on the spot, right? Sometimes that can come a little bit later. So I want you to just relax into the process and just think of it as you're going on a first date and you're asking some questions and you want to get to know this person or these people, okay? The other thing I want you to remember is that not everything is going to become a jumping off point. Sometimes it's just something you learn about your client and that's pretty cool. And then the third thing is that it's important that you start with some lighter questions and you build up to some of those more intimate questions. You want to get your client to feel relaxed and secure and really just start with some of those easy questions before you get to some of the heavy hitters. The kinds of questions that you ask are totally up to you. I've created some examples here for you. Certainly there are more, but I would put together a bank of questions that you can draw upon in these conversations. And I will just tell you that oftentimes these conversations will naturally flow and then you won't really need a lot of questions, but it's always nice to have some that you can start with. When you take the time to interview and deeply listen to your clients, you never know what will surface once you get into the design work. I'm going to show you a couple of examples from some past projects of ours. So this client in our deep dive interview revealed to us that she had been experiencing debilitating depression prior to moving to Austin. She was coming out of her funk though, and she loved to cook and she loved to entertain, and she was finally feeling good enough to start to do some of those things again. And so she really wanted a space where she could have friends over, where she could cook, because that's one of her loves, that was light filled, and that's exactly what we gave her. This is another example of a project who was, I just have to say, not that I play favorites, but might be one of my most favorite clients to work with. He was just a delight. So he's a closeted gay man for many, many years as an adult. And he shared his struggle of coming out as an adult, but he also shared how much he loved music and how music helped him gain the confidence to live a more authentic life. I'm getting goosebumps over here. And so we used that information, and it informed us to source art that reflected some of his muses, such as Dolly Parton and Tina Turner and others. And in this last example, we were working with an older newlywed couple. She was recovering from a traumatic, high profile divorce, and he was starting life over after he lost his first love to a battle with cancer. So, some pretty heavy stuff going on there. But they bought this rundown Tudor home and they were ready to completely overhaul it and make it their own together. Both of them wanted a fresh start. But they wanted to be able to bring pieces of their past lives with them because they still carried so much meaning. So, in addition to the renovation, we also helped them look at what they had and decide what to keep. We also brought in some new things. And then, of course, we also reimagined some things, such as this wingback chair with the stripe, which was something that was really special to her, but was ready for a facelift. So, this home reflects their stories, both before they found each other and in their new life together. Okay, so this is the end of the first section. So we just talked about dating your clients. You want to create an opportunity to have a deep dive chat, deep dive interview, conversation with them at the very beginning of a project to get to know them and know that that conversation can be a well of inspiration for your next project. Are there any questions right now before we move? I have time for one, maybe two questions, depending on what they are, specific to this idea of doing a deep dive interview with your clients.
Just checking here. I'm not seeing anything yet, but if anybody has any specific questions, drop them in. I definitely love how personal, and it's like a form of therapy, right? When you
Totally.
take, yeah, when you're like, this is me, right? This is
Yeah.
my identity in the moment, or this is what I'm healing and working on. So I
Yeah.
think that's a very unique perspective that I really haven't heard people talk about much. Okay, here we've got a question. Do you ask the budget question at the second meeting or at the first meeting?
We are usually asking about budget a multitude of times, starting with the very first intake form on the website. We're also going to talk about it in the discovery call, and we're also going to talk about it at the consultation. I'm not talking about the budget at the deep dive interview.
Right.
That's
Okay.
not the purpose of that. So
Yeah.
you need, by the time you've started the project, you need to already have a ballpark range of where your budget is and what you're working on there, so that you can move on to the project with that.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. And when you're doing the deep dive, do you use a questionnaire to guide you and help you know what to ask, or are you just going off the cuff?
We definitely have a list of questions. Some of them I just shared on the screen a minute ago that we use for conversation starters. But it's very casual, it's not scripted. And so oftentimes the conversation will go in wild different directions, and we're prepared for that. We really just try to read the client and read what they're comfortable with. I ask a lot about childhood homes. Have you had a home experience, a place that really felt good for you, and one of my clients, he was like, oh no, I was shipped off to boarding school by the time I was 8 years old. So he shut it down. He did not want to talk about that, whereas his wife was like, yes, and she grew up on the farm and she played in the mud, and like she had lots of stories about growing up and the home that she had and what it felt like and what it meant to her. And so here we are, same project, same clients, but two very different experiences. So you just partially have to read the room and read your clients too.
Right, that makes sense. Let's see. Do you schedule another? Okay, so I love that you don't talk budget. We'll just take this meeting, this question. There was a couple of questions that I'm saving for Q&A because they're not
Sure,
as
that's fine. That's
highly
great.
related. But I'll just take this one and then we can keep going. So I love that you don't talk about budget in the deep dive meeting, but do you then schedule another kickoff meeting for those more technical, practical questions?
So we're getting a little bit into the design process. So, and I talk about that in other areas, but I'll just say, pretty briefly, we have a pretty extensive consultation with our client that we do before we send a proposal, and before we send the contract, right? And so we have a pretty good idea and understanding of what we're going to be doing, what we're working with on the project prior to getting started. So we do that deep dive interview, and then we do a site survey, which is where we're, getting all the measurements and photos and inventory of what we're working with. Sometimes at the end of that, if we have a technical question, we will, but generally right after that, we're moving straight into concept design. And then the next time we're meeting with our client is to present the concept design. So we've done a lot of our pre-design work, at the beginning, but there's always questions that come up, but it's not usually something that is going to require a meeting necessarily, but we're getting most of our information from the consultation itself.
Okay. Let
me pause for a second. Actually, I'm being a little vague there. We actually do have a more comprehensive questionnaire that our clients get that they get prior to the consultation. And so between the consultation and that questionnaire, that's where we're getting a lot of this information. So we really know what we're working with before.
Yeah, you're going into this deep dive with a lot of the nitty-gritty information.
Exactly.
Last question on this deep dive. Do you take notes during it? Because somebody mentioned they could see that being a little awkward if you're like asking about life and experiences. Are you taking notes? Or are you trying to just remember?
Yeah. Oh, I really love this question. So I typically have an assistant with me, and they are taking copious notes. I'm like, if your hand stops moving, you're not doing your job. If you don't have the luxury of having an assistant that could come with you, I would simply ask your clients, are you comfortable with me recording this conversation? And then use some software that can help you summarize what was said. Because you're right, you want to stay focused and tuned into your client and making eye contact and really in the moment. And it can be distracting if you're trying to take notes at the same time. So if you don't have an assistant that can take those notes, then I would try to record them, because it would be very hard to try to remember all of that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then you can really get into like the specific way they're talking about it, or like the details that they're bringing up. So
exactly.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, no, these are great questions, and I'm really glad that we're taking a minute to pause for them in the moment.
Me too. It makes
my little brain stay focused,
Yeah, it makes it interesting too. We're going here, we're going there, we're keeping everybody awake. So I like it.
And just remember, we'll have more time at the end for more questions.
Yes.
Okay, so moving on, number 2, surprise and delight. I want you to focus on exceeding your client's expectations by doing the ordinary extraordinarily well. Remember, clients need affirmation. They need to know that they have made the right choice throughout their experience working with you, not just in the first couple of weeks, but throughout their experience. Needs to reinforce, she's worth the money, right? She's got it. She's got us covered, right? Every touch point that you have with your client is an opportunity. When you stay tuned into your client and you surprise and delight them, and you do the ordinary extraordinarily well, that helps to build trust with your client, and it helps them to affirm that decision. Now listen, these don't need to be grand gestures at all. Small, thoughtful moments have big impacts. Client relationships, think about this, think about how long your projects are. They last for months, if not years. So there are many opportunities that you will have to enhance your client experience through these different touch points that you have with your clients. And so when I say touch points, I'm talking about emails, meetings, phone calls, all of it. Okay. I'm going to share with you a couple of examples of ways you can build this into your existing process. Uh, Take getting coffee for your clients, right? Many of you probably offer to bring coffee to a client if you're having a morning meeting, and I think that's great. I want you to think about two different scenarios though. Scenario number one, you're standing in line at Starbucks and you text your clients and you say, hey, can I get something for you for the meeting? Your intentions are very good, right? But imagine your client is busy trying to get kids off to school, maybe tidy up the house because you're coming over, and they miss the text. And by the time they respond, you're already out the door and on your way. And then you show up, they're decaffeinated, and there you are holding your piping hot latte, right? Not the best experience that you want your client to have. Making this one simple shift can really enhance this little moment. Imagine a different scenario where the day before your meeting, you send your confirmation email. Hey, just a reminder, our meeting is tomorrow. We're going to meet at your house from 10 a.m. to 11. Can I bring you your favorite vanilla latte? And would your spouse or partner like me to bring anything for them? Imagine the difference there, that not only are they getting a confirmation email reminding them of the meeting, reminding of the time, yes, we're meeting at our house, but then they're also getting that quick coffee or breakfast order. It's just a really thoughtful way to enhance your enhance your interactions with your clients. Okay. At the end of this presentation, I've got a couple of tips on how you can sort of remember to do some of these things. Bring healthy snacks and drinks to any of your big presentations. You don't need it at every meeting, but I think for sure your big design presentation, having something that folks can snack on is really thoughtful. Make sure that you know your client's dietary requirements or restrictions or preferences, if they're gluten-free or vegan, that sort of thing. I can't tell you how many times I have sat down with a client to start presenting and they're like, oh my God, thank you so much for this. I skipped lunch because I was so busy trying to wrap some stuff up so that I could be here for today's meeting, and they go to town on it and they just really appreciate the nourishment. Even if they don't touch it, it doesn't matter. It's the thought that counts. If your clients have dogs, bring dog treats, right? Think about your dog's pup. People love their animals too, even if you're not a dog person. Our local farmers market, there's a veteran who makes homemade dog treats that are made out of peanut butter and yogurt, and they're so cute. And so if we know we have a meeting, we might pop over and grab one of those and bring those along. And clients just think it's the nicest thing. And it costs like $3, right? It's nothing, but it's just this thoughtfulness that clients really appreciate. Meaningful gifting, right? Small, thoughtful gifts at the right time show your client that you're paying attention to the details. That's something they want in a designer, right? So meaningful gifting at the right time can be maybe a welcome gift, right? They've just signed with you and you're getting started. It's a way to say thank you for being my client. Birthdays, anniversaries, or even project wrap gifts. If you want to gift them a meaningful gift at the end, you don't need to give every client a gift at every special occasion, but I think from time to time, sprinkled in at the right moments, use your judgment. And also the cost of the gift should be relative to the size of the project, right? A much, much bigger project is going to have a much nicer gift compared to maybe a smaller project. So think about that too. This example that I have shown here is just one of many from Etsy. You can send a photograph of a home and they will do a custom watercolor. I wish I had credited this Etsy seller, but I'll do that for next time. But the point is, small, meaningful gifts can really go a long way. And branded candles, these are becoming increasingly popular. You can work with candle companies to come up with your own brand signature scent and use those for client gifts, which are really special because nobody else is going to have them, right? This one can seem a little aspirational, but I want to walk you through it a little bit. If we're doing a very large project install that is going to require multiple days, two days, then we are going to put our clients up in a really nice hotel. I know this might seem extravagant, but let's do a little bit of math here for a minute. If we're doing a full home installation that's going to take multiple days, right? There's a good chance, if I'm I mean, if you're using trade vendors, you're probably earning $30,000 to $50,000 in revenue from your product sales. A night at a hotel and a dinner is what, maybe $300, depending on where you live. If you're in New York, it's going to be more, right? That's 1% of your revenue from product sales, right? It's a drop in the bucket if you look at the overall picture of how much you're earning off of this client and off of this project. I don't want a client coming home in between an install and seeing the midway point, because first of all, it's going to be a hot mess. Anybody who's done a big install will understand what I'm talking about. This isn't right for every project and every time, but if we're doing a multiple day install, this is a really nice way to treat your client, and they're really going to appreciate it. Okay, thoughtful communications. There are many opportunities to really enhance your communications with clients. I've shared some examples with you. They're on the bottom right. The thing that we have just recently in the last year started doing, which our clients are really loving, is the renovation reality guide. This is something that we give them at the presentation. So before we get into the kitchen renovation, and we typically use this for clients who intend to remain in the home while the renovation is happening. So some clients decide to move out for a little while, others don't. It just kind of depends. But in the renovation reality guide, we have things like what to expect, mindset reminders, meal prep ideas, kitchenette setup. And then we also have additional services that we offer. So we partner with a professional organizer, and we share the earnings from this, but we offer things like temporary kitchen setup, meal prep services, and pre-renovation organization. And so those are things that aren't going to make sense to present to the client at the outset of a project, because they can't think that far. It's just too much for them to try to consider. So again, timing is a lot of this. So we sprinkle that in and add it in. And it's fine if they don't take advantage of it. Now they know it's an option. So we'll sometimes deliver this in addition to maybe a gift card to a local restaurant, because if you've ever lived through a kitchen renovation, you know that it's challenging. So this is a way to just further support them as they start to enter this really exciting but also very stressful time in the project. Okay, keep a well-organized client portal and show your clients how to use it. Loom, I highly recommend Loom for this. The video you're watching there was recorded on Loom, but you can screen record and talk through and show them how to use it and share that video with them. Okay, so these are things that you're already doing, right? If you're here, you're probably already using DesignFiles. You probably already have a client portal. But the question is, are you enhancing your client experience by showing them how to use it, taking the guesswork out of it, making their lives easier, making it faster, okay? So the bottom line here is you want to elevate your client's experience through thoughtful touch points, and doing so is going to keep you in good favor, even if and when things go wrong. All right, so we're going to jump into number 3 here. I actually have a question for the audience on this one, Diana. So my question for you guys is this. For those of you who are sending a client a feedback survey, right? Tell us how your experience was working with this, that kind of survey. When do you typically send it?
Okay, let's see.
And if you're not currently doing that, that's okay. You can say, I haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it, when are you typically sending it?
Okay, we're getting 2 weeks after.
After the project closes out?
I assume. One says, with my closing resource packet at the end of a project, after the project is completed, just after the big reveal when they love everything, after installing, at the end of the job, I send a Google review email.
Got it. Perfect. I understand. This is exactly how we did it for many, many, many years. But here's the thing. When you're sending those client feedback surveys at the end of a project, which I still want you to continue to do, you have typically already missed the opportunity to improve their experience. So most designers ask for feedback at the end of a project when it's too late to make any improvements. So what I want you to start doing is finding a midway point to start to get some feedback from your clients, right? Have you ever been to a restaurant and your food arrived and it's cold, or it's too salty, or it's too spicy and you can't eat it? And your server is nowhere to be found. And your family is finished eating, and by the time they show up, you're like, forget it, it's too late, I just want the check. you know that's the feeling that can happen when you're not looking for opportunities to get some direct feedback. Okay, feedback is going to help you see blind spots and improve your client experience. The reality is, most people are conflict avoiders. They are not going to tell you what's on their mind if there's something that's rubbing them the wrong way, or maybe they had a poor experience, or there was something that has felt off. They're not typically going to come out and just say it. So you want to build in and offer them an opportunity to address that, because otherwise these underlying issues can fester, and then they either never get addressed or they end up blowing up later at the end, and you want to try to avoid that. By adding just one midway touch point, giving the client the opportunity to answer the question, how are we doing, right, demonstrates how much you care about their experience. So when should you ask for midway feedback? I am going to say that this depends on the type of project that you're doing. If you are doing a full service project where you are doing project management, implementation, installation, all of that, you want to build in your midway feedback point right after the design presentation, right after you've moved out of the presentation and you're moving into implementation. And then don't stop doing those end of project surveys. Go ahead and do that too, but get some midway feedback. And it will truly inform you and give you so much information that is going to help you avoid a lot of trouble down the road. If you're not doing implementation, if you're doing design only, or maybe virtual design, e-design, then I would back that up a little bit and I would do it right after the concept design presentation. How you ask is just as important. For those full service projects, you want to wait until the client has approved most specifications. Why is that? You don't want to make them feel overwhelmed like they have a lot of homework to do. You just want to get that done so you can move on to the implementation portion. And sending an additional survey just might be a distraction, keeping them from finishing approving. Most clients are going to approve most things in the presentation itself, but there might be some lingering things that you're working out. Get most of that stuff done and then send the presentation. Okay, it's just a tiny little nuance, but I think it makes a big difference. Be clear that you're asking for feedback on their experience working with you, not necessarily on the design. You want to get design feedback in the presentation and sometimes in the portal where they can comment on things. That's another place where you can get feedback. But really, you're asking, hey, how's it been working with this? Are you enjoying this so far? Does this feel helpful, beneficial, fruitful, valuable? All of that. And sometimes you're just going to get 5 stars. It's been great. We love it. Perfect. Move on. Sometimes you're going to get some critical feedback that you're going to need to address. Okay. And that's only going to serve you and be beneficial to your company in the long run. And then finally, just keep that questionnaire short, no more than 3 questions. Don't let that information, once you get it, just collect digital dust. You need to read it and you need to incorporate it. Negative feedback needs to be addressed. Take ownership, take accountability whenever necessary, and set aside pride. I get it. Clients aren't going to be right all of the time. And sometimes they're just going to need to have a little bit of a gentle educating and understanding about how things work. But sometimes, and most often, any sort of critical feedback is really just an opportunity for you to do better, and they're helping you out. And I say that that is a win-win. Before we move into the next pillar, I just have a quick story about a client whose feedback really helped me improve my business structure. I only wish I had asked her for this feedback sooner, But here we are, we've improved and moved forward. But years ago, I used to do quite a bit of virtual design projects. And when I did, I was providing my clients with everything digitally. So they would get their mood boards, their room boards, their source list, notes, all of that in a digital package that we sent. And it was pretty comprehensive. I learned that one of my clients didn't have a printer, and she was navigating between all of the documents that we had sent her on her iPad. And overall, it was a kind of a frustrating experience because it was just a lot on an iPad to go back and forth with. And I had no idea that that's how she was going to be going through this information to finish the project out. I learned that a little bit later. So what we decided was, you know what? We're still going to send clients digital files, but also we're going to we're going to have professionally printed all of their documentation, all of their specifications, all of their room boards and mood boards. And we're going to order an extra set of samples for everything. And we're going to collect all of that. And we're going to put it in a really beautiful box. And we're going to package it and we're going to mail it to our clients who are going to get the digital version as well as this beautifully packaged physical package that really feels like a gift to open. And that not only helped us improve and enhance our virtual design services, but guess what else we did? We doubled our rates for our virtual design project because doing this really enhanced and leveled up the client experience overall. And so that was, and we were easily able to sell that at twice the price that we were before. So read your client feedback and implement it because it's only going to help you become a better designer and offer a better experience for your clients, which when you're in demand, guess what? You get to raise your rates. So that's the big takeaway here is that feedback is really, really helpful. How are we doing on time? Because we're running a little bit low on time, I've got a couple more slides to do. I'm going to go ahead and jump into the last pillar and we'll save additional questions for the end. Okay, 4, have impeccable communications. There are endless opportunities to communicate with clients, but you don't want to inundate them to the point with information to the point of overwhelming them. Okay, you want to be consistent, you want to be clear, and you want to be concise. Elevate your client's experience by communicating the right information at the right time and in the right way. How do you do this? You want to predict what clients' questions are and try to get in front of them before they ever have to ask. It's that server who shows up with a fork that he saw you drop and you never had to ask for it. It's the server who shows up when they see your drink almost done and ask, would you like another one, right? It's that sort of predicting what are they thinking about and how can we get in front of that. Clients will feel like you're a mind reader, and that is going to just further deepen their appreciation for having you on their team. It's important that you strike a balance between communicating too much and not enough. So here's our simple rule of thumb. You want to always be giving a reminder for what's next and also a summary of what just happened. Consistency in your communications builds trust. One of the ways we do that is with a weekly end of week email, which is going to recap what happened this week and also what's coming up next week. There's an added benefit to doing this. It's going to save you a lot of time through back and forth email conversations, right? So many of the emails that we get from clients, they don't actually need to be addressed right in that very second or even that same day. And if we responded to every single email that a client sent us, and I will admit, sometimes it takes a little bit of training clients with how to work with us, then by responding to every single email that comes through, what ends up happening is you find yourself pulled into this back and forth email conversation. That is a distraction from the work that you're supposed to be doing. It prevents you from getting into that deep state, that flow state of creativity, right? Email is a creativity killer. So anything you can do to minimize that while still having really clear, impactful communications is going to benefit you. Okay. So our clients know that they're going to get an end of week email every single week. So if they don't hear back from us, they're probably they're thinking in the back of their heads, it's fine, she's going to tell us in the end of week email. Obviously, if it's something that's time sensitive, we don't wait. We respond to it right away. Okay, but just keep a running list of questions, comments, those sort of things that need to be addressed in the end of week email, and then send that out. If you're not working on Friday or you can't send it out because you're busy, there are tools that will allow you to pre-write it and you can schedule it to be sent, or you can send it on Thursday. Okay. Also, super important, format your messages for scannability. Compare this wall of text on the left. Your brain was going to take a lot of energy to read through that and make sense of what the message is. On the right, by formatting it with bullets and bold headings, it's going to allow your client to more easily scan it and understand what it is you're trying to get across. And they're just going to appreciate that. They're going to think to themselves, this is the feedback we get all the time from clients. You make it so easy to work with you. You want to make it easy to work with your clients, for your clients to work with you. Okay. You should not be writing every single email fresh every single time. Utilize email templates and automate whatever you can. Okay. We do offer an email template bundle with over 90 plug and play emails for every step of the design process. And I'm going to share more on that with you in a moment. Before we do, we're going to hit our last pillar real quick. Number 5, always end on a high note. No matter what kind of challenges your projects face, ensure that you end the project in a positive light. What typically happens is that project starts strong, but then fizzles out to the end. Clients are tired of doling out money. You're ready to move on to this exciting new project you just landed. However, you're missing important opportunities if you don't wrap up a project with a bow. You want to reflect on how far you've come. You want to build in an opportunity to celebrate. And it also signifies to your client that you're at the end of their contract with them, okay? Every project is going to have its challenges. Clients are going to remember how you handled them more, okay? So even if you feel like it's been a bit of a rocky road, because again, challenges are normal, do yourself a favor, tie up any loose ends with the client so that you can close the project out with the 4 R's. All right, the end of the project is where you're going to have the opportunity to leave a lasting impression, and that's going to give you an opportunity for the 4 R's, which are repeat clientele. Remember, it's much easier to sell to someone who's already in your world than it is to a stranger. Referrals. If you've done the other things we've talked about today, you're going to be in a good position to ask for word of mouth referrals. References. You may have a prospective new client who asks for direct contact, who they can get a referral from, and you want someone you trust to give you a good reference that you can send them to. And of course, reviews or testimonials. Again, a project doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't even have to be a huge project, but any positive review you can get is great. You can use it on your website, on your social media, in your collateral, like your welcome packet, all those things. So really important to close out your project well so that you can access these 4 R's. Couple of quick project wrap ideas. Of course, you want to deliver a client binder. We don't even tell our clients they're getting this. So when they get it, they're like, oh my gosh, this is great, right? We know it's there. We know it's built into our process, but it's always a little bit of a surprise and delight moment. Sending handwritten thank you notes, sometimes a special gift. I know I have a friend who's a fine artist, and she's an interior designer, and she always paints her clients a small little hand painted gift, which I think is so sweet. If I thought I could paint, I would do that, but I can't. Hosting an open house. This is one of my most favorite things to do, where again, we don't do this for every project, but if we've worked on a project, we will sometimes do an open house where we invite their friends and family to come, and we'll showcase the project. We'll provide some snacks and beverages, and we stay for the first 30 minutes or so, say hi, and then we leave, and we leave the client to their friends and their new space, and it's really a fun time. But then all their friends, they get to meet you, they get to see your work, you get to talk about what you did and the design, and it's really not just a great way to say thank you to your client by giving them this opportunity to have a little, cocktail party with their friends, but it's also a good business development opportunity. Okay, so we're going to wrap up. I do have a couple of quick tips at the end on how to put this into action, but before we do, let's do just a quick recap. Number one, date your clients. Deepen your knowledge of their personal lives for a well of inspiration. Surprise and delight. So you want to exceed your client's expectations by doing the ordinary extraordinarily well. Add just one midway feedback opportunity. Have impeccable communications. You want to be clear, consistent, and concise. And end on a high note. Wrap those projects up with a bow so you can get to the 4 R's. Okay, so a couple of quick tips to start to implement some of this into your existing process. Number one, you've got to document it. We use Asana, but you could use Google Doc. You really want to make sure that all of these touch points are part of your checklist of everything that you're doing so that you don't forget. One of those on our list is we send with our client questionnaire an opportunity to tell us what their birth dates are, anniversaries, favorite foods, food allergies, pet names, all of that. We have it in one spot and it gets saved into their Asana project, and we always have that to reference. And also one of those other things on our checklist is when you get that birthday, add it to the client calendar on our shared Google Calendar, so we always know what it is and we can choose to celebrate that in whatever way we want to. If you have anyone working on your team, it's really important that you train them on what your expectations are for customer experience. If they're writing emails to your clients, they need to know how to write an email that you would approve. I think it's really important to think about your brand and what makes you different and build in unique experiences that way. I just used the example of a friend who's the fine artist who makes a special piece of artwork for all of her clients. That is definitely on brand for her. Activate empathy. You don't have to be an empathetic person to activate empathy. When challenges come up, not if, but when they come up, put yourself in the client's shoes. What would make them happy, right? Go as far as reasonably possible to make them happy, even if it costs you a little money, because that is business development right there. And make it easy to work with you. Build simplicity into your process. We had some questions earlier about, do you have another meeting for this and another meeting for that? We don't need a million meetings. We've got the meetings are set that are very important. I go into all of this in our interior designers business blueprint, but I just want to say, build simplicity into your process with your clients. The other thing I want you to know is that this is stuff you're going to work through over time. We didn't have this all from day one. This is stuff that we've built over a decade of being in business and working with clients and learning as we go. So if you're starting to feel a little bit overwhelmed by all these things to do, just remember, you've got time, you're right where you need to be, and these are all things that you can work in and build in as you go. Okay, so next steps, here's what I want you to do. In the next 48 hours, I want you to review your current client workflow. I want you to look for opportunities to enhance your client experience, and I want you to make a list of enhancements that you can work on over time. Some of it's going to be easy, quick stuff that you can do, and other stuff might be stuff that's going to take a little bit more time. Like if you need to create a client resource, like the renovation guide that I mentioned earlier, but just do a brain dump of all the ways that you want to really just kind of tighten up your process a little bit, tighten up your communications, and just make it as simple as possible for clients to work with you, and they will love you. They hired you because they're busy. Make it easy. Okay, and I mentioned a couple of gifts. I've got 2 things I want to share with you, and then we're going to get into Q&A. We have 90 pre-written email templates. If you want to become an email ninja and save countless hours of overthinking your emails, I've got a 20% off coupon just for the folks who are here today. So you can either do the QR code and go directly to it, or you can find it on the shop with that URL there. But this has emails for every stage of the design process, from how to respond when a client isn't a good fit, or if they haven't responded to your proposal, or your project kickoff email, emails to trades and to vendors, invoice reminders. All of these are professionally written in a tone that is clear, concise, and consistent. And finally, we do have a free gift for any of you who have come today. We would love to just say thank you. When you get this download, you can go to designersoasis.com/design-files, and you will get two things. One, you're going to get a summary of today's presentation, and then you're also going to get a curated playlist. So if you want to dive deeper into this conversation about developing a signature client experience, we have pulled all of our best podcast episodes related to that and put them in a quick list that you can click on and find them that way. So again, you can find this at designersoasis.com/design-files. And I think I can pop that into here. I don't know if everybody can see that link or just Diana, but in any case, that's where you'll find it. All right, and then that's where you guys can find me. I'm so excited to dive into some questions. All right, and I will say, for those who are here live, I know it's up to Diana and what she's capable of doing, but I'm happy to stay past the hour to answer as many questions as possible, as long as time permits. So I'm happy to answer that and answer any questions you guys might have. And I also want to mention, if we don't get to a question and you want to ask it, just send me an email. You can send it to kate@designersoasis.com, and I will be happy to answer your questions by email. But I'm hoping that we get Diana back here in a second, and then we can open it, because I can't see any comments or chats or messages. Diana, are you still here with us? Oh, guess what? I can see the comments now. Okay, great. Sounds like they're having technical difficulties, but I just figured out how to find the chats. So I'm really going to do my best while we wait for her to go through and answer as many as I can. I do see that there was a question about the discount code, so I'm just going to go back. That is DF June. So DF June. So we have an email that says, Luana asked, this is really wonderful and so helpful, but do you have clients who walk all over you while you try to please them? I don't, but I have, right? I've definitely had clients who wanted the moon, right? I've had clients who wanted to, and you guys have probably all experienced this, wanted to move the project along faster than it's sort of outside of what we can do, right? We just recently had this, and I had to go to client and say, listen, I know you're excited to hit this deadline so that demo can happen during your renovation. We have a tried and true process that we have honed for over 10 years with hundreds of clients. Our process works, and this is how much time we need to do this. And so let me know if you're able to understand that and we can move forward, or do we need to rethink this a little bit? You know, I was willing to walk from the project because they were wanting me to fast track some stuff. And I'm always willing to fast track stuff if it's reasonably possible and it's within my capabilities and it's not going to make, things come unraveled. So do what you can, but it's about being firm and balancing that strength with your warmth when communicating with them and just saying, this is the way we work. And it works because this is what gives clients the most success. And sometimes clients just need to be educated. So I really want you to focus on, putting things into the client's perspective, right? I do it this way because it's going to give us the amount of time we need to serve you well, right? It's not about you, it's about your clients always. So try to put it back into their terms and say, this is why we do things, because it's beneficial for you in the long run. I'm just looking through some questions. Somebody likes my Scalamandre print in the back. Thank you. I love it too. Ashley asks, what are the 3 questions to include in the midway feedback? I love this. I will try to remember offhand, but I want to say that the 3 questions we ask are, what has your experience been with this so far? We try to get it to be quantitative. So quantitative, qualitative, quantitative. So on a scale of 1 to 5, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your experience working with us been, and ask them to rate us. Then we have an open-ended question where we say, if you have any feedback, what is it? And so we just let them answer that. And then the last one is, how likely are you to refer us to someone? And it's a 1 to 5 scale, and that's called the Net Promoter Score. We use Typeform, but you could easily do something like this with a Google Doc, or you could even just simply send an email and ask for them to respond to that. Okay, I know it's after 12. Diana's not here. I'm going to keep going with a couple of questions if people still have them. Carly says, I used to do the weekly emails and it was incredibly time consuming. I guess I wasn't doing it the right way. Writing emails and describing what you've done and going to do this takes me a while. Carly, I want to say, first of all, I hear you that end of week emails can take some time. But number one, if you format them like I showed you earlier, where you're just doing bullet points and you're keeping it concise, that will really make that faster. Also, I use the notes app on my computer, and I just keep a running list of things that I need to like call out or address. But a lot of it is like, some things have arrived this week and you can check your portal to see what those items are. So we're not saying this arrived, that arrived, that arrived. We're speaking in more broad terms. So I hope that helps. Looking through some questions here. Oh. How many times, I love this question. Betsy asked, how many times do you ask for a Google review before giving up? It depends on your comfort level. I probably would do 2, maybe 3, no more than 3. Before, because I think it's important that you follow up, right? At least a second time. People get busy, people forget. I also think it's really important how you phrase it so that they understand that they're really helping out a small business owner, and just say, I really loved working with you. It was a pleasure. I would love, if you would take a few minutes and be specific about what you want them to say. Sometimes prompts can be helpful. What did you struggle with before, and how did we work to solve that? How did you feel about your project or your home before compared to how you feel now? So give them some specific things to say, and then wrap it up just by saying, I just want to express tremendous gratitude for you taking a minute to do this. It really helps out my small business to be able to keep going so that I can be here down the road when you're ready to work with me again. So hopefully that helps. All right, there's a lot of comments here, so I'm going to read through and see if I can find any others. If y'all are still here and you have questions, you can go ahead and just drop them at the end. That might be the best way. Anissa from the Insiders Tour with Rashida. Hi, Anissa. I met you at High Point. So sad I missed your webinar. Can we grab a link to the recording? If I'm not mistaken, then the recording will be available inside the Facebook group. I think almost immediately right after this. There she is.
I'm back. Guys, I went on a wild goose chase. My internet died, and so I drove to my mom's house. So I'm literally
that is dedication right there. You get 5 stars for making it work.
Thank you.
Well, I got this, so we're good.
Yeah, you did a great job. Thank you so much for diving in, and thank you for staying extra. So I'm guessing, yeah, you were able to see the comments. I was trying to get in, and then it was like, then of course I came from my laptop thing wasn't pulling my audio for some crazy reason, so I had like two different technical snafus.
I've so been there. I get
Okay.
it, and it's always a little unnerving, but we've
Yeah.
got it. We've got it.
Okay, great. So you were able to hop in and answer questions and everything.
I was, and
You
I have time to take a few more questions if we
okay?
have any specifically related to this topic. I see some that aren't
Yeah,
exactly related, so I'm gonna
yeah,
skip those because I want to stick to this idea of client experience. So if you guys have
right.
a question specifically around client experience and enhancing that, please feel free to drop it into the comments below.
Okay. I did see at one point we got a question about if you ask for Google reviews at the same time as like that kind of midpoint. I'm guessing not, because you were mentioning you want to try to keep it real small.
Yeah, I think that that's too premature to ask for a review. I think
Yeah.
that the best time to ask for a review is at the end of a project when the clients are the dopamine's high, they're experiencing their new space, all the feels are good, and you've really finished what you set out to do.
Yeah, yeah. And another question that we got earlier on was, what are the specific professional organization services that you mention in the guide?
Oh yeah. So I mentioned our renovation, I forget what it's called, renovation reality guide, which
Mhm.
is sort of designed to help clients get their bearings as we move into a kitchen renovation if they're going to live through it. And we have a professional organizer who we partner with, and she actually does these for us, and we pay her, and the client pays us. And that's how we've got it worked out. But some of the things that she offers are renovation organization. So unpacking your kitchen, putting it in boxes, getting everything labeled, cleaned out, decluttered, donating old things that they're not going to keep, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, setting up a temporary kitchen, that sort of thing. And honestly, some of this stuff is like clients will never hire us to do it, but just knowing that it's there and available, and sometimes they do, right? But just knowing that it's there and it's available, it's kind of like, oh, nice, they can do that, right? I think a professional organizer is a great partner to have in business. They can really help you do a lot of things for your clients, and a great person to have on your team.
That makes sense. So let's see. Besides printing renderings and sending memos, what else did you include in a package to your virtual design clients that you felt increased the value?
Yeah, so they would get their mood board, their room boards, all of the specifications, so cut sheets, spec sheets, and then the schedule or the shopping list, right? We don't call it a shopping list, we call it the schedule. But I know that that's what a lot of virtual designers, how they refer to it, because clients know that lingo. So that's what's included. We also include a handwritten thank you note, and we also include a little small gift in there.
Cool. Let's see. Oh, okay. What do you do if people are like walking all over you while you're trying to really go above and beyond to please them? Like, at some point, does it kind of like, veer into people pleaser territory? Are you getting walked on?
Yeah, we actually answered this question while you were gone, but I think it's really
you did. Okay.
Well, I think it's worth reiterating.
Yeah.
Bottom line is you want to have a balance between strength and warmth with your clients. And if a client is asking you to do things that are beyond what is reasonably expected, it's important for you to tell your clients, this is how we work. And this is how we do things. And the reason we do it is because it's beneficial for the client. And I used an example that I had a client who wanted us to expedite a cabinetry order for a kitchen when we hadn't finished the kitchen design. And I said, nope, I'm not going to do it because there's too many other things in the mix. This is how we work. do you still want to proceed with us? And she was like, yep, got it. You know, so sometimes it's just like very warmly and gently putting your foot down and saying, but always put it back into the what's going to be best for the client, right? You don't say to your client, I can't do that because I don't have time. What you say is, I can't do that because I want you to have a comprehensive design. And if we expedite that when I don't really know what else is going on yet, some things could change and it could pose a lot of challenges for the project in the long run. And so for that reason, it's really important that we do this in the way, in the process that we know works best.
Yeah. Yeah. I love this. I feel like we can wrap up, but I am curious because a lot of this comes down to your comfort and confidence in kind of communicating clearly, taking charge of conversations, leading. So what can our designers do to like kind of ramp up that confidence and clarity? Like what are some things that you're doing kind of like on a personal level to feel comfortable, communicate better?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh my gosh. This could be its own topic, but I'll try to address it, succinctly. I think the thing that you have to remember as you're going through these projects and you're working with clients is that there are going to be endless opportunities for you to enhance and improve the way that you do things. And so if you can always be looking for clues from your clients that are going to tell you, maybe if we did a little differently, the client would have a better experience. And also talking to your clients and getting that feedback. When you start to see, oh, wow, that worked so much better when we did it that way, then when you do have that client that comes down the road who says, can you do it this other way? You can confidently say, I can't do it that way. And here's the reason why, and put it back into their terms. It's because it's rooted in facts, right? It's rooted in the fact that you've done this before. It's rooted in history and in experience, and that is just simply something that comes with time. I have a whole podcast episode on confidence, and it's like confidence doesn't come first, right? We don't lead with confidence. Confidence comes from lots and lots and lots of practice, making mistakes, owning it, and moving forward. So I'm sure we can find that and drop that link in the Facebook group if you guys want that podcast episode. But I think everybody can just relax because nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody does, right? I don't care how many Instagram followers somebody has. I just interacted with somebody who, huge following, no guest on the podcast. Nobody here is going to know who I'm talking about. So don't even try to figure it out. But huge following, very, very, very successful businesswoman. And I got a little peek at the behind the scenes of what's going on. And it is a hot mess. So you just need to focus on staying in your lane, focus on what you can do to enhance your designs, enhance your client experience, and just dote on them. And they're going to send you referrals. They're going to come back to you for more. And over time, you will really start to build that confidence. So
yeah, I love that. And that's where that constant feedback comes in, right? Because you're not pretending like you've got it all figured out. You're like, I don't know what's working, which is why I want you to tell me. And I did lie. I am going to ask you one more question, and then we're actually going to wrap up from here.
I'm good with that.
This one is, really relevant. So how do you teach the members of your team to carry and adopt that same mood and tone of your brand when it comes to the client experience?
Ooh, Betsy is coming in with the best questions today. I love this. Yeah. So Betsy, it takes time, but there's a couple of things. I think it's really important that you have a brand message guide. We talk about that inside the designer's blueprint, but the brand message guide is really about your mission and your vision and your values. You need to have those established and you need to share them with your team. Mission, vision, values is really helpful in getting people on board with what you're all about and what you're hoping to achieve, right? You also want to share them with your clients, but that's a different story. The vision, mission, and values is going to help them get behind that. And then we have a couple of tools. And again, these are things we've created over years of being in business. So we have the brand messaging guide, which is, this is how we sound when we talk. These are words we use. These are words we don't use. This is the tone, right? And you really just want to strike, this is a part of your branding. You really want to strike the right tone and have them have access to that to know how to write. We have a guide that is a, it's a guide on how to talk, how to respond, right? And it's about activating empathy. It's about using their words back to them. It's about really acknowledging whatever, let's say they're addressing a hiccup, right? It's really just acknowledging and saying, oh man, that's frustrating. We're going to take care of it. This is what we want to do, blah, blah, blah. So that's part of it is, having your brand mission, vision, and values clearly defined, sharing that with your team, having them get on board, and then having tools that say, hey, this is what we sound like when we talk. And at first, you're going to want to read their emails. You're going to want to sort of see how they're doing, right? And then eventually you can sort of let them go and they don't have to CC you on every email because you've built trust. And look, there's been some emails that have gone out from team members that I'm like, I wouldn't have sent that email. And I can guide them in the right direction and just say, like, one of the words that I hate is the word unfortunately. Do not start an email with the word unfortunately. If you're telling a client no, because it automatically shuts them down from whatever you have to say after that, right? So here's how we would say it differently. So I try not to nitpick and micromanage them to death, but I also give them the tools to do it right. And if there's a big infringement, then we say, hey, what happened here? Because you have these tools, kind of what we expect. But it's also hiring the right people too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super helpful. It makes a lot of sense in terms of like actually taking the time to read, some of their emails, especially in the beginning, and really see how, if they're getting that style, really get that visibility. Thank you so much for this, really detailed, empathetic, unique presentation. There was like so many beautiful nuggets, and I can really see how anybody that is a client of yours is lucky to be so, and how it would be a wonderful experience. Yes. So thank you so much for being here. And thank you everybody for attending. And we will see you guys next month with another live workshop.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good rest of your day. Bye.
Bye.